Hi, I'm Matt Greenhouse with NASA's James Webb Space Telescope project. I'll be talking about the James Webb Space Telescope mission.
Kind of like a primordial Earth, sort of like an older Earth prior to a lot of the life forms. Like there are large-scale mountain ranges and huge lakes and whatnot.
As a kid, I was always interested in anything related to space, so I would constantly be reading books about the solar system.
Hello sir, my name is from St. Paul School, grade 5th. My question is, was Venus born before or after Earth? Please provide your inputs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Tanishq. Again, my name is Taryn Olivier and I am going to be the moderator for today's session. Welcome to the both of you to our Indo-Finnish Conference. Before we get started, I would like to give you a little bit of context into why we hold these conferences. As you know, Kalam Labs has organized this conference, and so far we have organized more than 200 very same conferences. The purpose is to facilitate discussion between India's top schools principals and European educationalists on nurturing children's curiosity. We have been awarded by the Finland Education Ministry and are trusted by more than 10,000 international students. Our initiative also spreads across more than 11 countries. Today we are joined by two speakers, Ms. Alejandra Chavez, who is an international educator and principal with more than 30 years educational experience. Welcome, ma'am. We are also joined by Mr. Sanjeev Joseph, who is the founding principal of Rain Tree Schools. Welcome, sir. Now, as a small icebreaker and introduction to our conference today, I would like to know from you, what was your journey to becoming an educator? Sanjeev, sir, I would like to begin with you. What was your journey to becoming an educator? How did your career start and where are you in your career now?
Thank you for this opportunity first. I would like to start with one small gesture for Kalam Lab. Can we do that activity? Gesture. So it is like communication between people. Can we all do this? So this is communication between people, and also there is something called as lab. So Kalam Lab is empowering people. So we show a sincere gratitude as educators to the Kalam team. My journey as educator has a ladder, ladder step. I started with a very bottom line and started teaching part B subject, not main subject, and that was GK or storytelling, and this was pre-primary level. And then I started moving up the ladder, and when I went to the classroom, I found that this is where I have to be. The passion and the love which was there on the first day, it is still there now, and I'm very sure that till the day I'm going to be educator, the passion and love will be there. Apart from that, I've always been learning things. As an educator, you have to have that in your mind that you keep learning, and that learning should be not only for you, but for you to share. So that is one thing as an educator I've always been doing. Second thing is commitment to the work, accountability to the environment, the organization, and also discipline and punctuality. So this is the journey which I have always carried with myself: passion for teaching, love for students, and more, empowering the people around us.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think you have mentioned some of the most important things that we need to remember and do and feel being educators. And I 100% agree with you that we should continuously be learning and encourage or teach that lifelong learning to our students. having that passion and that love for that students just drives us every single day. And I can really see that in the way that you speak. So thank you very much for sharing. Alejandra, ma'am, what was your journey to becoming an educator?
So my journey happened 30 years ago. I was studying communications at the time. I never thought that I would become an educator. It actually never crossed my mind as a possibility to be a teacher, although I had very good teachers in my elementary years and very nurturing teachers. So because I was raised in Australia, I could speak English. I was in Bolivia, Spanish-speaking country, and there's an American school there, and I was working there. And there was an opening in the art department, and I always loved art. I always loved creating, painting, making things. I was a very creative child. And so I applied for the position and I got it, and it completely changed everything. It changed my life. I couldn't believe that I could paint, create, and do all the things that I loved as a child with kids. And this was a profession. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a profession. I could do this. I couldn't believe it. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do from now on. I finished my degree, got a master's in international education, and then took off around the world, 7 different countries, I believe, up until now. And it's just been such an incredible journey. Along the way, I became a principal, but I never ever lost that focus of why I'm doing this, because it's the students. And it's been my greatest joy to not only teach children, but they teach me. So I'm in total agreement with my colleague that we are learning from them all the time. And kids put everything into perspective and make life just so much nicer. So 30 years has flown by for me, but it's been such a great joy. And I'm just so happy that education found me. So it's been really good.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I can hear by your story, education definitely did choose you. You didn't choose education, but I think that it's such a blessing. I can hear just by everything you have done over your career. It really is inspiring. And I really love what you said, where children make life nicer. I 100% do agree with that. Now moving on to our body of today's session, we are going to be discussing 3 different topics. We will begin with methods to nurturing curiosity amongst your students. We can answer this one from the perspective of before the COVID-19 pandemic. So what are some methods that you used in your classroom or in your school to nurture curiosity? We are then going to talk about overcoming the pandemic. What were some challenges you faced and some solutions that you implemented? And lastly, we are going to talk about your vision for a utopian education system. Sanjeev, sir, I would like to begin with you again. What are some methods that you have used in your classroom or in your school to nurture curiosity amongst your students?
So I will start with one question. What is curiosity? It is a desire to know or learn something. So when we talk about curiosity, it is the student's desire to know or learn something. We at our school plan for unplanned. Why I say that, I'll tell you. The curiosity aspect generally is absent while we make our lesson plan. That means in our lesson plan, we are more into the content part than raising or bringing curiosity among children. While we are planning the lesson, we have 4 different aspects in our mind. The first one is the content. And to have that curiosity in the children, we bring the content in different ways to the students. So they are very curious to know what is the content they are going to learn. So, for example, we have to teach mathematics or concept of mathematics. We will bring the content in variety of ways. For example, it can be a game, it can be puzzle, it can be any article, stories, poems, and songs. So the content is presented to them in variety of ways. That is one strategy for bringing curiosity. The second thing is, again, I'll ask a question. Who are the people involved in a normal classroom setting? There are two important people. One is the educator. The second one is the students. As a teacher, we have to see that once we are in the class or we are teaching, our ways to present ourselves is very effective. That means we are coming to the class in a way where the students are eager to know what sir is going to tell. So we don't have only one way of delivering lecture, but variety of way to present ourselves. So that is from the teacher's perspective. As a student, we also see what are the learning styles of the students and see that that is also taken care in the planning stage and also implementing the teaching in the class. Third, we see that the teaching methodology has mix of strategies and that's not one way of delivering the content. For example, we have someone called as reporter. So the reporter will be watching the class and everyone will be very curious that what the reporter is going to do. Is he going to complain about me or is he asking some questions to me? Because that is the work of the reporter we are given. They can ask anyone, any question. So this is one of the new strategy I brought to bring curiosity in the classroom. Lastly, we also have something called as environment. The environment has to be supportive. So we have seen the content has to be very effective. The people has to be effective. The methodology of teaching should be effective and the environment. So again, the environment has a lot of different decorations or word wall or on the board also. We have got certain things written so that it is very curious for the students to see those things. So this is how we bring the curiosity in the classroom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the insights, sir. And I do agree with everything you have said. I think it is very important for teachers to continuously change and adapt their strategies, even if it means observing other teachers and getting ideas from the ways that they teach so that we can cater to all of the learning styles and learning needs in our classrooms. So I 100% agree with everything you have said. Alejandra, ma'am, do you agree with what Sanjeev sir has said, or do you have other methods to nurturing curiosity amongst your students?
Well, first of all, I want to say I love the methodologies that my colleague just presented right now. So important, and I loved it. Thank you for sharing that. And the one that I love the most, because it goes really well with the art teacher in me, was the environment, because the environment, which is so overlooked, especially as kids get older, as the grades get older, the environment is the third teacher. And that environment has to completely be in alignment with whatever is happening in the classroom. So, for example, I would encourage my teachers, because I was mainly in inquiry and IB curriculums, there's a lot of, you would start big units with a provocation or big questions, but we would take it one step further. Let's say that it was an inquiry into weather. The kids would arrive to find their classroom completely transformed, as if a hurricane had come through the classroom and everything was upside down. And then the kids would come in and be like, oh, what happened here, right? And then totally the whole environment played the part for the curiosity to begin. Kids are born curious. They are always curious about everything around them. And we as teachers and leaders must not, more than nurture, sustain it. Because as they get older and academics becomes the most important thing, things change. Kids, the curiosity, I notice, dips, especially coming from the art room, where kids love art, for example, never want to leave the art room. but then suddenly, you know, they've got language arts or math, and suddenly that enthusiasm is gone. So we need that same enthusiasm in all academic areas to support the curiosity and teach kids what to do with their curiosity. It's not enough to be curious. What do you do with it? How do you find information? I'm the teacher, but I'm not the one with all the information. Let's do it together. This is a journey together. Let's keep finding answers together. So I love the methodology. And for me, my greatest method to nurture and help children with their curiosity has been through art. That has been my greatest tool.
Thank you for sharing. And I can see that the both of you have mentioned how important it is for us to move with our students when it comes to nurturing curiosity and to demonstrate curious behavior and to guide the curiosity that they do have so that they know what they should be doing with it. And that will obviously facilitate the learning process completely. So I think that, as the both of you mentioned, it's very important to have all of these methodologies in our classrooms, but also to remember that we should remain curious as much as our students are curious. Let's move on to our second topic for today. We are going to discuss overcoming the pandemic. So what challenges did you face in your school and how did you overcome them? Sanjeev, sir, I would like to begin with you again.
So first of all, I would like to tell that we were very proactive and sensitive. So as the lockdown started in our place, we were proactive and sensitive. So I would like you all to again become a little curious and do some sensitive thing to yourself. All of you, can you do that? You are sensitive, so that you know that you are sensitive to the people. So what we did is we started thinking about the virtual classes, though we never had that in our school, but we started that. Being a trainer, I went on to research few modules like Zoom, Google Form, Mentimeter, Padlet, and made modules for my teachers. And then we had 2 weeks of training for them. And the training continued for these 2 weeks. And why we are proactive? Because the training which we did was actually going to be taking place as government allow that the lockdown will still be there and the school cannot open. So we were very proactive that we are going to have virtual classroom. And almost 1 month before, that is June, we start the school, but we started our school 1 month before. So that is why I'm telling we were proactive. We knew that virtual classroom may not be having that much of time which we can give to the children for their concentration, learning and so on. So we give more time by bringing the 1 month in advance and started in the first week of May, the classroom for all the children starting from pre-primary to grade 10th. And we were very sensitive also. Why we were sensitive? Because we always thought about children's health and parents' concern. So you know that around 1.5 years has gone by and the government has recently started allowing the school to open. But whatever this decision was given by the government, we were following them. That is why we were very sensitive that what is the time for teaching, that is the screen time for the students, how we have to approach for their mental health, and gives various mental workshop where we can take care of their mental health. So naturally we were very sensitive. So these two words always strikes to my mind, that we were very proactive and sensitive. Whatever assessment, whatever communication with parents, everything was nearly normal except that it was on virtual platform. And we continued, and still we have few classes happening as virtual classes. The challenges were there. One of the challenges was that the students did not join. So many dropped out were there, and we came to a very low number. And to go along with that finance, we had to give some sabbatical to this finances. One thing can work, and thankfully we got the other staff back now when the numbers are increasing. So that is one of the more big challenge we felt in our school, and this is how we tackled them.
Thank you very much for sharing, sir. And I can see that your approach to being proactive was so beneficial for your students, because your teachers were then able to get the necessary training that they needed in order for education not to be disturbed. And I think that's so important, because so many teachers in other schools and other countries were just thrown into the deep end when moving online, and they kind of didn't really know what to expect or how to deliver their classes well. But the fact that you could anticipate these things happening and that you gave your teachers the necessary training that they needed is truly incredible. I think that the challenges you faced are quite unique, especially in that some of your teachers needed a sort of sabbatical because the numbers of your students dropped. I think that must have been so challenging, and the fact that you came through that is truly incredible as well. Alejandra, ma'am, what were some challenges you faced during the COVID-19 pandemic?
So basically, let me see, when the pandemic hit, I was in Singapore at the time. And I think the biggest challenge for us was supporting the children who couldn't speak English and their parents also couldn't speak English. So how to find ways to support them and to keep them, participating and submitting work. And I think another challenge was also, even though our school is tech rich, a lot of the teachers don't use a lot of the things in the classroom. So they just use the basic stuff, and suddenly they had to find, very innovative ways to teach and engage and create videos and presentations. So there was a little bit of, not a little bit, there was a lot of stress there and teachers feeling overwhelmed. The approach that our school took was to really focus heavily initially on the social emotional well-being of the students, especially because the kids were happy, excited, online, this was all new. But then after a while, they really missed being with each other, missed being at school, missed seeing their teacher, missed the routine of the classroom. And so what we did was really just focus on that part initially, especially pandemic hit at the end, towards the end of the school year, which allowed for us to do that. And then, of course, we were able to go back into the classrooms much quicker than other countries. So the social emotional aspect was the main focus, and I'm very happy that we did that because it was very, very important.
Definitely. I can really appreciate that the both of you have brought so much attention to catering to those emotional needs. And as Sanjeev so said, just remaining sensitive to the fact that this was all so overwhelming and so devastating, and that people still had those emotional needs, unlike the years prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think that the fact that your school focused on catering to those needs as much as providing academic support is just truly incredible too. Let's move on to our last topic for today's session. We are going to discuss your vision for a utopian education system. Alejandra, ma'am, I'd like to begin with you today, or for this question, if that's all right with you. What is your vision for a utopian education system?
Well, things are very different now in the educational landscape, and the world has changed, and there's been a bit of a revolution. So I'm very happy because I've always wanted one in education. We need to prepare our students for anything now, like whether their education's online, hybrid, face-to-face. We need to find ways to keep our students engaged, reaching their potential. I would like to see less emphasis on all the testing and standardized testings that schools do. And, kids are under a lot of pressure, especially older kids. And I would love to see a shift towards more value-based learning and a focus on, equipping all of our students to be lifelong learners, independent learners, be flexible, open-minded, innovative, and above all, to be really happy kids, to be happy students, to love learning. And that also means that our teachers need to be supported in bigger, stronger, more intentional ways, because a happy teacher equals a happy student, equals a happy classroom, equals a happy community. So, that's my vision.
Most definitely, and I do agree with your vision too. I think that it's really necessary for us to find a balance between academics and becoming successful professionals one day, but also just in being good human beings and teaching those values and ethics and how to be a good global citizen. I think that's so important. Sanjeev, sir, what is your vision for a utopian education system?
So first of all, I would like to have the meaning again. According to me, it is an ideal education system. Now, the world is a global village, and whatever we are teaching here can be accessed anywhere in the world. So, my vision will be that there should be equality for learning and accessibility of getting the knowledge for all. And that is how it can be possible by using technology, what Kalab Lab is doing. By using technology, we can reach anywhere, anytime, and give the resources and knowledge, wisdom, what we want to impart to the children by using technology. In our culture, we say Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, where we feel that the world is like a family. So my message will be that it should be one world, one education, as we are a global village supported by technology, because we cannot take technology out of the system now. And this is going to be a different kind of education sector post-pandemic. And good thing is that one of the courses which I am running on Udemy is going through the world, and I can share that way, and the people can come across and learn it. So naturally, it can be accessible, and we should also avoid gender bias and avoid any stereotyping in any sector. So that is my message, that one world, one education.
Yes, thank you, sir. And what you have said really resonates with me too. I mean, I also live in a country where education is not equally accessed, and there isn't equality when it comes to delivering education or the type of education that students receive. So for me, it really is a personal thing when you say that you wish that education would be accessible to everyone. I do feel that myself, and I think that what you have said really does apply to most countries. And we have all this technology at our disposal now. We should definitely become a bigger community and collaborate on so many different levels, because we have that now and we should make the most of it. That brings us to the end of our session today. I would just like to say thank you so much to the both of you for taking the time out of your day to attend our Indo-Finnish Conference. In the short period that we have been talking, I have learned so much and I have thoroughly enjoyed our discussions. Before I hand over to my colleague Tanishq, is there anything you would like to add?